Sponsorship would help us break barriers. Yes, it will help us break barriers. And then in terms of breaking barriers, that is important for the individual, for the organization, for the sponsor, and then for the world at large. Before you go into any company, you have a career plan, your goals, what you want to achieve. Getting into an organization, you shouldn't dump that plan. Hi everyone, welcome to HRT. My name is Tai. At HRT, we are on a journey. We're on a transformational journey, looking to transform HR, taking it one conversation at a time. Today, I want to talk about a topic that is close to my heart, a topic around workplace support for career development. So as HR professionals, we're often saddled that responsibility for talent development. And in doing so, we always try to look for creative ways to make sure that we keep things going despite the limited resources that we have. And one of the ways that we have succeeded in, ensuring that we still pay keen attention to talent development despite limited resources is by getting other people involved in the career development of employees. We're either creating or encouraging employees to create stakeholders around their own career. So today we're looking at how do sponsorship, mentorship, allyship, and coaching, how do they impact career growth? I would attempt to just give you definition, just very general, very basic definition of these four concepts that I have talked about. The sponsorship, mentorship, allyship, and coaching. I would give a definition, but we'll then come back to my topic of the day, which is sponsorship. Sponsorship is what we'll be focusing on today. So just for understanding, right? When we talk about sponsorship, it's basically where a senior or an influential person actively advocates for someone else's career advancement, by using their social capital, right, to create opportunities for them. And when we talk about mentorship, we're talking about, a relationship where someone who is more experienced, who is the mentor, offers guidance or advice and support to a less experienced person or an individual to help them grow personally and professionally. And then allyship. In the case of allyship, allyship is usually, it's a concept that comes to play or that is activated where there's maybe an underserved group or an underrepresented group. And also for allyship, it's just when someone uses their own privileged position, or they use their privilege or their position to support or advocate for another individual or for a group of people who they feel are marginalized or underrepresented, like I said earlier. Then for coaching, right? Coaching is a focused, goal-oriented relationship, really. The coach helps the individual to improve specific skills, behaviors, or even performance to achieve defined outcomes. All these concepts, all these four concepts that I've talked about are fundamental in shaping a workplace where people thrive, where leaders are developed, and the organization itself achieves sustainable success. However, like I said, my focus today is going to be on sponsorship. So I defined sponsorship earlier, but just to speak a bit about it again, or just to summarize it, sponsorship is about advocacy and advancement, where someone uses their power to help others rise. So sponsorship is like you putting your social capital, you're using up your social capital to help other people grow. Sponsorship is about advocacy and advancement. A sponsor will advocate for you behind closed doors, actively working to open new opportunities. Usually it involves a senior leader who has influence within the organization. And the relationship is usually performance-based because the sponsor will stake their reputation on your success. So I think the questions that I will now try to answer, a few questions that I will try to answer will be, first, am I supposed to look for a sponsor myself? How do I find a sponsor if I'm supposed to look for a sponsor myself? And then the other question may be around, how do I even identify who a sponsor is or who has the potential to sponsor me? So I think a very good place to start is you have to be clear on what you want. What do you want to achieve? Because sometimes, you need a sponsor because you're looking for promotion at work. Sometimes you're just looking for a stretch project, and sometimes you're looking for, job opportunities in other organizations that's outside where you're currently working. So it's very important that you're very clear on what your goals are, why you need a sponsor, right? Again, like I said, you're either considering a promotion at your place of work, or you're looking to take on a stretch project, or you're looking for career opportunities outside your workplace. So you identifying what your goal is, what you want to achieve, is very important because it will guide you on who to pick as a sponsor or who to reach out to as a sponsor. So for instance, I would say if you're looking for a promotion within your organization, ideally your very first person that should be a natural sponsor should be your line manager, because that's the person who knows the work that you do. I mean, not in all cases would you find line managers advocating for their direct reports. So that's the reason why, in addition to your line manager, you need to have a more senior person or someone else within the organization that knows what you do, that has a sense of your capability, the sort of skills that you possess, your competence. How do I get a sponsor? So basically, how do I attract one? I would say first is for you to excel in your current role. So whatever role you're currently playing, it's important for you to show yourself, you know, um, all the deliverables that you have, how you deliver on them. And it's not something that you should be quiet on. If you deliver on your work, if you deliver on things, you should, feel okay, feel happy to make noise about it. There's no point being timid about things that you have done or things that you can do. But yes, the first point I would say is for you to excel in your current career, in your current role. Excel. After the point about excelling in your current role, it's also important that you build relationship with senior leaders. Oftentimes you find people who want to just do their work and be done and be out of the office, and just not be involved in any social gathering the organization is putting together. That would not help anybody. It would not help. It's important for you to build relationship across the entire organization. You have people junior to you that you have built relationships with. You have people, your peers, that you have very good relationship with, and then you have senior leaders that you also have very good relationship with. It is very important for you to build relationships. Build relationships. It cannot be overemphasized. And in this case, we're talking about sponsorship. Build relationship with senior leaders. Do not be timid. And of course, you have to do things in a very respectful manner. You have to, not take away that consciousness that these people are senior to you, or they may be seeing things different from how you're seeing things. It's important for you to approach with courtesy. Whilst you're building relationship with these senior leaders, you will then be able to identify the ones who are decision makers. You'll be able to identify the ones who can speak for you. There are some senior leaders that they just get their work done. They don't care about what happens after what happens to any other person in the organization. All they care about is they want to deliver on their own work and go. So it's important that you identify the people who are influential, the ones who have a seat at the table, the ones who contribute to how things are done within the organization. So I've mentioned 3 points. One is for you to excel in your career, in your current role, excel in your current role. The second one is for you to, build relationship broadly across the entire organization. Then the third one is, after you have built the relationship broadly across the entire organization, you're now going to narrow down to the senior leaders who have influence, the senior leaders who want to advocate for other people for their career advancement, the senior leaders who are decision makers or can influence decision within the organization. in addition to these three, I think the fourth point will be that you should be able to demonstrate sponsor worthy qualities. Every sponsor will want to look out for someone who is ambitious. They want to see that you're willing to take on more. You're showing, potential to take on higher roles, greater stretched projects, and all of that. They want to see that you're willing, and you have it in you to be able to do that, for them to advocate for you. Of course, you have to be trustworthy and dependable. So if I am going to put out my social capital to recommend you for a stretch project, for instance, I need to be sure that you're going to deliver on that project. I need to be sure that you're trustworthy, you're reliable, you're dependable, right? So for me to speak for you, I need to be sure that you have all of this. I need to be sure that you have shown the potential for leadership, right? Because you're growing, and if I'm sponsoring you, or if I'm speaking up for you for a bigger role, a bigger responsibility, I need to be sure that, or I need to have seen that leadership potential in you, right? I need to you need to showcase your leadership potential, basically. And then, in addition to this four, another thing that I think may really help is for you to even engage in mentorship first, right? So a mentor, like I defined earlier, will be able to give you the advice, the guidance, on some of these things. The mentor will guide you in building the relationship with these senior leaders, right? Sometimes mentors will evolve into sponsors, and in the event where they don't even evolve into sponsors, some mentors would help you build relationships with people that matter. Some of the mentors will even be the ones to open the door for you to connect with the sponsor that you will need. I have spoken about this before, but I'm going to talk about it again. Communicate your career goals. Again, if you don't communicate your career goals, people will not even know what you want to do. Communicate your aspirations, right? So it's important for you to make noise about your aspiration. Communicate it to anyone who cares to listen. Communicate to the people junior to you. Communicate to your peers. Communicate it to your leaders. Communicate to people that you have built relationships with. Let them know. And of course, when time for you to request advocacy is right, when the time is right, now you have built relationship with these potential sponsors. You have communicated what your aspirations are. They know what you want to do. They've seen also what you can do. They've seen that you can add value, right? You've shown them that you can add value. They've seen all of it. It is then easy for you to sort of request for that sponsorship. So you're making a specific request. Sometimes if someone is an opportunity outside the organization where you currently work, and you have a friend on LinkedIn, you have someone who you have connected with. Remember, I said it's important to connect broadly. Again, I had said from the beginning that you need to be sure what your career goals are. What your goals are will determine how you are building, or how you are getting your sponsors. So if you're looking for promotions, you're looking for stretch projects within the organization where you're currently working, you're connecting broadly within your organization, you're connecting with leaders that can influence things within your organization. And if you're looking for a career opportunity outside your organization, you're ensuring that you're building relationships within that industry. You're ensuring that you're connecting with people in that organization, outside the organization, but within the industry, or even maybe service providers to that organization. Then something that is important for me to also highlight before I bring this to a close is the fact that sponsorship is not something that you build overnight. Sponsorship is not, it takes time. So you need to be patient and persistent, right? You need to be patient and persistent in building sponsorship relationship. It takes time. Unlike the mentorship, the coaching, where you can just have conversations and you can start the relationship. This takes you building your credibility. This takes you showing that you're dependable. It takes you showing, your work, excelling in your current role, just showing that you can add value, right? And, that the person can put out their social capital for you, and they won't get their fingers burnt. So it takes time for you to build that relationship. So it's important for you to know that you need to be patient and you need to stay persistent. In you being patient and staying persistent, one very important thing you need to do is stay engaged. You have to stay engaged. You have to continue to nurture the relationship, maintaining communication, showing that your performance in your current role that you're using to show that you're a performer, you're a high performing employee. You need to keep that your performance up. Even after you have secured sponsorship, you need to, continue to show that you are worth that sponsorship. Continue to show that, you're even ready for another sponsorship. So you need to be consistent with your performance. You need to be consistent with, building that relationship. You need to be consistent with nurturing the relationship, and also you're keeping your sponsor updated on your achievement and progress, because hey, this person has sponsored you and you are now making great impact. You're making good successes at the position that you've gotten to because of this person's sponsorship. It's important that you keep this person updated of your achievements and progress, because guess what, another opportunity may just be somewhere around the corner where this sponsor can still speak for you to take on that other opportunity greater than what you're currently doing. So it's like you're also positioning yourself for the next level of the sponsorship, right? I've spoken about looking outside your organization. It's important when you are looking for career opportunities outside where you work. Another question is, why is sponsorship important? Sponsorship is important for different stakeholders in the sponsorship concept. And different stakeholders, the sponsor, the protege, and then the organization, and then the world at large, really. So for the protege, for the person who is being sponsored, the very first obvious reason why it is important is for career acceleration, right? There are places that sponsorship will help you attain that you may not ordinarily attain, simply because you didn't have someone to advocate for you, not because you're not good enough to be there, but because you didn't have someone to speak up for you in the room, right? So yeah, career acceleration is one key thing for the person who is being sponsored. And then sponsorship would help us break barriers. Yes, it will help us break barriers. And then in terms of breaking barriers, that is important for the individual, for the organization, for the sponsor, and then for the world at large, right? Imagine sponsoring the high potentials, and these high potentials becoming at the aim of affairs of organizations, and from being at the aim of affairs of organizations, they are now being at the aim of affairs of the state affairs, or the affairs of the nation. We will eventually get to the point where we are able to achieve greater things, because the people who can perform, the people who can deliver on the job, are the ones in the positions that matter, simply because there's been that level of sponsorship where you have pushed the people who are performing to the top, and then they are the ones leading the affairs, and then we are reaping the benefits of that sponsorship. And then for HR, or for the organization, with sponsorship, you're able to build a very robust pipeline of leadership, a very robust pipeline of leaders, right? You're able to develop your future leaders. You're able to ensure that there's diversity and inclusion. You're able to return top talent, because the truth is, when people feel that they are being advocated for, when they feel that they are occupying the right role based on the skills, based on their performance, right? They really want to stay in the organization, because they see that their hard work is paying off. They see that they're being recognized. They see that, the reward for their good work, or for their good work is them getting higher work stretch projects, higher pay, promotion, and then they are growing. Coming back to the employee who is being sponsored, I talk about career acceleration. That's one major area for you if you're able to get a sponsor, right? For the sponsor, oftentimes I always say that you know when you want to sponsor someone, sponsor the person because the person is good. Sponsor the person because the person has sponsor worthy attributes. Like I said earlier, the person is ambitious, the person is dependable, right? Person is showing leadership potential. Sponsor the person because that person has all the skills, all these qualities. Sponsor the person because you want to make the world a better place. You want the people who can do the job to be in the right positions, and then you want that to cascade to every aspect of the organization, every aspect of our economy, and then the world at large. So sponsor for those reasons. Then in turn, right, you can have enhanced reputation. I'm not saying sponsor because you want to enhance your reputation. Sponsor because this person is a high potential, this person is performing, and you want high performers to be in the right positions. But I'm also saying that in addition to your very objective reason for sponsoring, you also get your reputation enhanced. Where, I mean, for those that have sponsored me, I make noise about them. For those who have advocated for me one way or the other, I make noise about them. For anyone who cares to listen, I talk about them a lot. For me, that's the person's reputation being enhanced, because other people are looking at you and you're like, good person, oh, good person. And then you're also building a legacy. You're building a legacy because even if you don't get to enjoy out of that, you have generations after you that can benefit from what you have built. Imagine a situation where 5 people in an organization, or 10 people in a state are talking about one person who has sponsored them. You're sponsoring, you're not trying to get anything in return when you're sponsoring. Imagine them talking about being the person who has helped them to enjoy that career acceleration and be in the position that they are. For me, it's a feel good thing for me, where I get to hear that, oh, thank you, because of what you did, I was able to do this, I was able to do that. Or, oh, thank you, I've now moved to another level from where you advocated for me to be, and all of that. There's a feel good factor in that. And also there's also the reciprocity. For some people that you sponsor, they want to reciprocate. Some of your proteges want to reciprocate what you have done for them. And then if they're even unable to do it for you directly, they're looking out for your offspring. They're looking out for people connected to you. They're looking out for people that matter to you, for them to also be able to sponsor those people simply because you have sponsored them. For the organization, I've spoken about a number of things in terms of having leadership pipeline. You also have improved performance because you're putting the people that can do the work in the right positions. So improved performance, and then of course there's the innovation and growth that you would also experience, right? Leadership pipeline, I think that's just for me, that leadership pipeline is bigger than any other thing that I have talked about in terms of what the organization tends to achieve in sponsorship, because it helps you to have a very good succession plan, right? It helps you to have a good succession plan, that even if you have people exiting, you have people that can take on the role. If you have people retiring, whatever it is, you have people that are prepared and that can do the job. You have them readily available and they're able to occupy the job. To conclude this talk on sponsorship, I wanted to point out something. In some instances, people experience certain things in their career and they want others to also experience that. Maybe I had a hard time, accelerating in my career. I had a very difficult time growing. I had a tough time getting promotions at work. and all that I want to do is make sure that other people go through that simply because I have gone through it. It's important for us to know that we have certain experiences so that others will not have such experience, right? If I have had a bad experience, if I have had a not so good experience with my leader or my manager, what that tells me is it teaches me how not to, relate, or what not to do to the other people that I will eventually be managing, because I know I know how I felt when I was going through those tough times. I know how difficult things were for me. So I shouldn't think to make things difficult for other people simply because they were difficult for me. And that's why, for me, it's important that we promote this concept of sponsorship. We promote the concept of sponsorship so that the world can be a better place, really. The world can be a better place. So I'll just, in conclusion, just to remind us that sponsorship is about actively advocating for someone's career advancement. You're leveraging your power, your influence, your connections. You're leveraging all these things to help somebody else advance in their career. And also for the employee or for the protege, this sponsorship is important for you. You can't do it alone. You cannot do it alone. Sponsorship is important. And the concept of building relationships, building broadly and all of that is very, very important, because if you can have a sponsor that you've already built a relationship with now, but nothing has come out of that relationship. But in the near future, you don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. That person may be in a position to, advocate for you in a place that really, really matters. So I did say, when you're building a relationship, when you're trying to get a sponsor, make sure that you're persistent and you are patient. I will end with these two quotes that I feel, summarize what I've spoken about today. One is from Sheryl Sandberg, that's the author of Lean In. She says, mentors give you friendly advice, but sponsors pull you up, right? And then the second quote that I would like to just touch on as well is from Tom Peters. Tom Peters, let me quote exactly what he said. He said, "True leadership is not about creating followers; it's about creating more leaders." So, as a sponsor, you are creating more leaders, right? So you're not necessarily creating people that will be following you, or yes ma, yes sir, and all. You're creating more leaders, and that's what true leadership is. You're creating more leaders to go and influence things in different parts of the organization, in different parts of the country, in different parts of the world. So you're creating more leaders, right? And that's exactly what true leadership is. That's the end of this session. I hope I'll be able to come on again to talk about some of these other concepts that help us in the workplace to provide support for career development, because it's very important that we promote career development, or we highlight things that the workplace supports that help with career development. So thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for watching. I would like to hear from you. Engage in the comment section. You can send me an email. The email address is being displayed on the screen. You can send me an email. You can drop your comments in the comment section. You should also share, right? We're talking about transforming HR one conversion at a time. We're talking about building more leaders. We're talking about the right people being in the right places, so that things are done rightly. Share this video with people to learn. Subscribe. More importantly, subscribe. It's important for you to subscribe so that you can also turn on your notification button, so that when we have other episodes, you get notified of our episode. Thank you so much for watching.